Billiken fans, welcome back. It's Zach Miller and Peter Hale. It's the Midtown Madness Podcast. Before we get going, thank you so much for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe buttons. Also, jump down in the comments section if you want to sound off on the Billiken coaching search, Chris May, Fred Pestello. We're going to talk about everybody, really, including the transfer portal. We're going to go around the A10. So if you've got anything you want to say, hit that comment section up, down, below. It's season 4. Once again, the Midtown Madness is brought to you by our friends at Two Men in a Garden Salsa. I had 2 jars of salsa on Friday and Saturday. I had one on Friday, one on Saturday, and it was the perfect combo with March Madness. I had medium on Friday, and then I opened up the mild on Saturday. If you're looking for a salsa, if you love salsa and you have not tried Two Men in a Garden salsa, you are missing out. It's local. It tastes amazing. They've got all the flavors to suit your individual salsa preferences. You can pick up their many products at any local grocery store or online at twomeninagagarden.com. Follow them on social media at Two Men Salsa on Instagram and Twitter. By the way, Pete, before we really get into it, congratulations to Lou Boys SC for winning our Two Men in a Garden first 4 pick'em contest. He won himself 3 jars of wonderful Two Men in a Garden salsa. Congratulations to him. And we're going to reach out to 20 people who entered the contest, probably just the local people, to be honest with you, because part of the deal is to get the salsa, you got to go get your free jar out in High Ridge. Yeah, Pete, what a terrible day of college basketball.
I know, Zach. I felt like I finally had the TV on for like a long extended period, and all of these games today were blowouts. Duke, James Madison, and what was the one before it? It was Purdue.
Yes.
Just crushing Utah State. Just not good stuff.
And the first game of the day was bad as well.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I watched a lot of Billiken baseball and a lot of Billiken women's basketball because the games were just that bad. Like I said on Twitter, it makes it they were making it very easy to go full sound on women's basketball today. And I was rewarded for it too, to be honest with you. Pete, are we surprised that we haven't heard anything from Travis Ford or Chris May? Just like kind of, any sort of media talk about the end of the Travis Ford era, or, I mean, from Chris May, I think that's kind of expected. He's not going to address this at all, but Travis Ford, I thought it sounded like he might hop on the radio or the TV.
That's certainly what they made it sound like in Brooklyn, right? I mean, like we talked before, like I don't think that's how they planned it to come out. Was right at the end of that game the way it did, with the tweet from Martin Kilcoyne, and then having to sort of touch on it in the post-game press conference. But Ford himself said, "I'll have more to say about it later." And just between a few things that he said and his tone, it just made me think like, okay, they're going to go ahead and control this, get back home, do a couple, friendly media appearances with somebody like Frank or
Like
Ram or some,
us.
yeah, yeah, like us, exactly. But do something, a friendly sit down and kind of a recap and just leave on a high note.
Yeah, my internet's been bad.
Seen
Uh,
happen. From my understanding is that he's more or less emptied out his office, and they tried to be as low key about that as possible. And yeah, just nothing. And when I know I texted some of you guys and was kind of like, are we gonna get anything? And they were like, nah, this is pretty common in coaching changes. But I thought, like, even so, it just they kind of led me to believe that this was going to result in some sort of press conference or at least an interview or something, right?
yeah, I thought so. I mean, I certainly can understand. Again, we talked a lot about the stress on Travis Ford since 2020. Not to mention the fact that the basketball team hasn't lived up to expectations since that year, and the rumblings among the fan base and the pressure has grown exponentially year after year, but also dealing with personal issues. And I'm not surprised at all that he's decided to just retreat down to his vacation house and not talk to anyone but family.
Yeah, no, I'm not like given this series of events. No, I'm not that surprised that that's what he would do. Just the fact that that night they made it
Yeah.
sound like they would say something is really what just kind of had me waiting for that. And it never happened. Had they not said anything, had they just kind of addressed it head on that night, I would have been like, okay, that's it.
I do think that's funny that like had they not said anything when all we talk about on this show is, they should just be honest and be forthright. And then we're just like, no, if they're not going to say it, just don't say anything.
Yeah.
But maybe that is what we're saying. I don't know. I thought so. I thought he might do a little, guest spot with Frank or Kilcoin. What would you have wanted to kind of hear in that? I mean, just in my mind, I just would love to hear him talk where like an an extension of his comment about when somebody asked him about the injuries after
Hmm.
the season was over. He's just like, I don't really want to talk about it, to be honest. Like nobody else wants to hear about it. So
Yeah.
and I would really enjoy just a no holds barred, no filter. I mean, it doesn't have to be a scathing review of the athletic department or the Billiken Victory Fund, anything like that. It's just I just would love to hear. I think that's what we've strived to give our audience when we do interview people. That
Yeah.
I think that's something that the fans would, we wanted to hear it because we're not going to get that interview.
Yeah, what would I have liked to hear? I would like to hear so much more that he's not going to share, of course, right?
Yeah.
But what I expected to hear was something kind of along the lines of what he started to give us in that post game that night was just look, it's been 27 years. This game's been really good to me. I never thought I'd be here 27 years ago, and just to sort of give us that like perspective, right, of a guy who is moving on to another chapter. And that's sort of I expected to hear something like that had there been a sit down, a press conference, something along those lines. But yeah, man, I'd love to hear everything that you said and then some. I'd really like to get all the nitty gritty.
Yeah, I had a thought and then it just totally just went away from me. I do you think this is the end of coaching for Travis Ford?
No, no, he's still young enough, and it's 27 years is half a lifetime for him, and it's all he knows, and more than half a lifetime. And yeah, I just think I think he's going to be back in some capacity or another, right? I mean, you don't coach at some high level programs like he did, and even though you're not a guy who's ever made a deep run in the tournament or anything like that as a coach, I think there's going to be enough places out there that think he's still got something to offer. Um, that said, I don't know what that fit looks like for him, given the geography of where he is, and the fact that he seems to be, he keeps calling St. Louis home, right? Like I don't think he's gonna want to rush off to some small college town somewhere. They have a really good, comfortable setup where they are, and there's a lot to be said for that. And he's probably made more money than he ever thought he'd make in his life. And when you think about it, he's made more money in this profession than if he had played in the NBA for a while. In the time period that he was in. So he's made a good living for himself, and certainly has options. So I think whatever he does next will be kind of just the right situation for him.
I want to ask you because and I certainly don't want to come off as comparing him to the greats that we've seen kind of retire really kind of in the last few years. You've seen, the older kind of coaches like Izzo. Well, you'll see Izzo retire shortly. Coach K, Saban. where it's passed them by with the NIL. And I think Travis Ford was one of those guys that uh, got players by, means outside of the rule book at the time. Uh, I think nobody can deny that. And I just wonder if that's where he's at, realizing that, maybe the game has passed me by, and not so much basketball, the game, but the game of college athletics and college
Right.
sports and college basketball.
It's certainly given him a good spot for a kind of pause and reset, right? If that's what it means, because certainly you and I kind of harped on, all the things that SLU sure doesn't look like they're doing on the NIL front and needs to be doing. And then we kind of both slapped our foreheads like a month ago when he said, "Hey, look at it. Look, we've taken a good look at the portal and NIL and what it all means over the last month. And I think we've got a good plan going forward." And we were like, "What are you talking about? You've had 2 years to prepare for this. Like, what? You're way behind. You can't be saying that right now." So there's certainly a case to be made that he's a guy who wasn't fully prepared for the level of change that meant, and got a little bit of ice water thrown in his face with all of this stuff. I mean, there's a really strong case to be made there, especially because he's someone who's always had more of a reputation as a recruiter and a player guy than a system guy, right? So I think there are a few different reasons why people might be able to make that case for him. Sure.
It seems like this was there was, it's kind of the last week or so has been uh well, no, that's not true. Anyway, Fred Pestello announcing that I was going to make some sort of connection transition there, and I realized it was terrible. So I'm just going to transition to the fact that Fred Pestello, Billikens St. Louis University president, announced that he will step down June 2025. Just seems like the turnover continues. Was the transition I was going for, and then I bailed.
Well, this is something that we had heard rumored for a while now, right? I think it's been probably in the last 6 months or so. I don't know exactly when the first time I kind of heard that this might be happening was, but it's been murmured about a little bit, and we had sort of gotten from a few different places. The reason I thought it might have a little smoke is because I heard from a few different directions. People saying like, yeah, he's in his 70s now and he's winding down, and I think he's at a point where he's ready to move on from SLU, and he's kind of achieved the goals that he had in mind for SLU when he came here, 10 years ago. So I think there were a lot of things that made it sound like this might be happening. So I can't say I'm entirely surprised at all. And, I know that sports fans in general have a sort of mixed perspective on him as a president. I know some people can't stand him because they think he should have done certain things differently around the athletic department specifically. But, there are a lot of others who can, who have a different perspective on him. Like people have all had different interactions with him or have been affected by this president's leadership in one way or another. If you're tied to the university, I could say that I tend to zoom out and take a high level picture of what he's done, and the school's in great shape financially in a time that we're going to see a lot of upheaval in the coming years in higher academics, and I think SLU is sort of well positioned for whatever changes are on the horizon for just college in general, the state of the American university in general. So I think he was probably the right president at the right time. And I do sort of understand other people's ambivalence or, maybe not hostility, but disappointment or whatever with him based on certain athletic related things. But hey, I can't say I'm surprised that this is happening, and I think he overall, on the whole, I think he did a solid job as president, and I don't think he did anything to hinder athletic development, right? Um,
Well, one might say just by lack of activity. No,
I mean, would that be your gripe with him? Do you think he took too much of a laissez-faire approach to the athletic department?
yeah, I think on some level, I appreciate the idea that he's the president and, uh, delegation. Obviously, you don't want to step on toes, but I think at the same time, I think there's a little bit of, I don't think there's really any oversight among the day-to-day operation, like among the culture, I should say, in the athletic department. And as we both know, we've heard a lot of complaints um, regarding the culture. So I think just allowing, I don't even know if it's basketball centric, because I just think that is just not like consistently watching staff turnover in that athletic department, not move upward within the world of college athletics. So really most of the turnover was people getting out of the business. And I think just kind of on a high level, you got to be aware that your athletic department isn't running really well. But I don't know. I guess I just thought he was lame and didn't really care about athletics. Like I
Yeah.
want a guy that's like, I felt like he sat courtside and his seats were totally freaking wasted.
Yeah. Well, so is that how it works? Like, does he have like are those his seats for every
He sits
game?
at every game almost.
So he does he come to most
Most
games?
games.
I mean, that in and of itself is something, right? I mean, like
Correct.
I feel like Biondi went to one or two a year.
Oh, I thought Biondi was there all the time.
Was he? Okay.
I thought he always sat like right behind the scores table, like 6 rows up or something like
Yeah,
that, near the
right.
worldwide seats.
Okay.
But I don't know that for sure. I just know that I got in trouble one game because, well, that's a story for another day. But it was Biondi who complained, I guess, which is kind of impressive, honestly. If I caused the president of the university to complain to conduct,
Yeah.
I'll take that. That's my Bluto Blutarski moment.
Oh,
Or
yeah. Yeah.
PCU, what is that with Jeremy Piven?
Yes. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not sure you want the president to really notice you, right?
No,
I
not
don't
not
know if
necessarily.
my freshman year there was on a weeknight a weekend night in the dorm room next to me. There were some crank calls that
Oh
went
no.
to Biondi's office,
Oh
and
no.
quite a few. And so he got a call back on Monday morning and was in a bit of trouble. And yeah,
Uh
luckily no
Landline.
landlines. Luckily, no one was expelled, but yeah, definitely reprimanded. And he blamed a fictional
Ricky
out of town
Ricky
friend who came
Ricky
in.
Stanicki? He
Yeah.
blamed Ricky Stanicki?
He's like, sorry, I had friends in for the weekend. I didn't know they were doing it. I'm so sorry. But he lived to tell the tale and graduated from
Uh,
SLU, so that's good. But
so
yeah,
did I.
yeah, I'm glad you're still with us here too,
Yes.
Zach.
Um uh I don't know how to introduce this next topic other than like Chris May was named one of 28 athletic directors of the year, which seems to be kind of an oxymoron of sorts.
Well, number one, Zach, that's kind of a red flag here is one of 28.
Yes. I
So,
believe four in each level of athletics. So like Division 1. So it starts in FBS,
mhm.
and I'm repeating this from memory. I have the criteria for the award here, but from memory, there's four athletic directors in FBS, FCS, Division 1 AAA,
Mhm.
and then there's other categories. So there's Division 2, Division 3. So that would be, what's 28 divided by 4 is 7. So there's 7 different categories.
Mhm.
FBS, FCS, Division One AAA, and May was named Division One AAA, part of those four. So, I mean, I don't know. I certainly don't think he has earned this award, but then again, I'm not. I'm just a guy who talks too much on a podcast, and I
So
don't.
so then you said you have the criteria in front of it.
Yeah,
What are the criteria? Like because maybe then we can kind of figure out
sure.
why he would have been selected.
Okay, so be an NACDA member, National Association of College Directors of Athletics. Just take a guess. Have served as an athletics director either at the current institution or otherwise for a minimum of 5 consecutive academic years. Be employed in a full-time capacity as the director of athletics, not as an interim, associate, assistant, or senior woman administrator at the institution. Demonstrate now, so this is where it actually gets into some actual qualifications. Demonstrates a commitment to higher education and the educational, personal, and professional pursuits of student athletes. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
Give them that. Demonstrate continuous teamwork, loyalty, and excellence. I'll give him the loyalty part. He's been around a while. Demonstrate a commitment to continuing education and professional development for the athletics administrative staff. Demonstrate the ability to inspire individuals or groups to high levels of accomplishment. Demonstrate an ongoing commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Show leadership on the regional or national levels through serving on various committees or boards, including but not limited to NACDA committees, NCAA, NAIA, or junior community college committees, other organization, association, institutional committees. So yeah.
Yes, because okay, so I would look at something like that and think a lot of this is just really hard for outsiders to judge, right? Who are not in the day-to-day running of a department. So you rely on the things that you can see. And I guess you could say especially with like the Champion Center getting built and that being, even if it hasn't, as you and I know, hasn't necessarily worked out as something that has served all student athletes equally, it at least on paper here's a big brick and mortar thing that he did for the entire athletic department. And it's not just like you look around at a lot of other schools and like the football team's getting super hooked up in a lot of ways. And a little bit trickles down to the other sports, but not as much, right? So maybe something like that is like a great big showpiece that he can kind of hang his name on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think really you look at that, and that really covers the commitment to higher educational. That fourth one, the higher education, educational, personal, and professional pursuits of student athletes. I think that covers that one. I think aspire individuals or groups to high levels of accomplishment. I think you can absolutely hang, SLU women's soccer, SLU women's basketball, on him. I think when you dig into that, the Champion Center and talk about the diversity, equity, and inclusion, I don't know if that equity part really fits in there. That's I think where one of my, as you're looking from an outside perspective, that's where I think you could dig just barely a little bit further and see some of the cracks in the qualifications.
Sure. Yeah.
But I mean, this to me, like, who's the Mizzou athletic director that went to Arizona?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna forget her name.
Yeah,
she's got 3 names.
I have no idea. But anyway, she won the award as well in the football bowl subdivision category.
Which makes me feel like Desiree Reed Francois.
Yes.
But
you went. She's got a French name. I was sure she was Hispanic. So what do I know?
Who knows? I mean, Reed, it's hyphenated. Maybe
I thought
maybe somebody married it. I don't know her.
Who cares? Who knows?
Doesn't matter. But the fact that she gets it as she's moving from one athletic department to another kind of makes it feel like a nice publicity hit for the new athletic department for the new school.
Yes.
And I don't know, that makes this whole award seem very political to me.
Yeah, I definitely think there's obviously you have to be nominated for it.
Mhm.
So I'm assuming the nomination process involves answering these questions. Um, but again, this is to me, this is a walk of fame honor.
Mm.
The publicity, the publicist, gets you set up on it. But yeah, I mean, good for him. The second time he's gotten it. Um, and I hope it serves him well when he's searching for a new job.
Yeah,
Whatever that is, I don't know. Could,
yeah, yeah.
you always try to move up in the world. Um, Speaking of job searches or searching of a job nature, where are we at on the see? I thought we'd be sitting here March 24th and be just obsessing over which candidate are we going to go with? Is it going to be Mac? Are we going to get screwed? Or is it going to be Wade? Going to be DeVries? Schertz? What are they going to do? And we're sitting here, and really the biggest thing we're asking ourselves is, can we get this over with?
Yeah. Yeah, well,
Are you surprised? How
am I?
surprised are you that we're sitting here and we're not because I thought we were gonna have so much time to so much stuff to talk about to fill airtime.
Yeah.
And we just kind of don't.
Well, had this been our previous coaching search, we still would have dozens of names that we're still talking about that we would think like, here are the different guys that we might be considering. Here are your favorites. Here are my favorites. What do we think each of these brings? Are there any other people that we've heard rumored? All of those things. But Zach, we've kind of just for over a week now been really zeroed in on one name, and that's Josh Schertz at Indiana State. So number one, it's a little surprising that we don't have more to say, just because like we would think that had we still like if you told me on March 24th the job's still not filled, I would think like, all right, we're still talking about at least several different people, right? But the other surprising thing is we've not only have we zeroed in on a candidate, but like his team's still playing. So this
It would have probably been better for us had he made the NCAA tournament. Like everybody who said, "Oh, we don't want him to make the tournament,"
right.
is now like,
Yeah.
like, we got to wait longer because
Yeah.
they're the best team in the tournament they're playing in.
We didn't think they were going to go on a deep NIT run. Like I think people thought like he would just sort of bow out of the NIT.
Which I kind of thought that. Like I had about a 6 hour window where I was like, yeah, we'll just hire him and then he'll let it assist. What a dumb idea that was on my part.
Right. So to reset this a little bit, Josh Schertz from Indiana State, there's been rumors that they had a handshake deal with him that would be announced
Let's
after
go with have on that one.
have. Yes, correct. That would to be announced right after Indiana State's season ended, right? So late Tuesday night, you get the Trilly Donovan tweet. He tweets out a smokestack with the SLU logo on it, which is great. Catholic
It's
school.
beautiful.
Love the papal reference and everything. It's great. Schertz said in an interview before they even played an NIT game, nothing about his future is going to be addressed until after the season ends. So Wednesday night, they play their first NIT game at what looked like a sold out arena at Indiana State. They beat SMU 101-92 in the first round, right? Sunday afternoon, the Sycamores then beat Minnesota 76-64, and now they're going to host Cincinnati on Tuesday the 26th. So here we are, like the very earliest, given that game, that Indiana State Cincinnati game, I think is a 9 p.m. Eastern time tip off. So I don't think we're going to hear anything that night, right? Like
No.
I don't think between 11 and midnight or whatever Eastern time we're going to hear anything. So the best case scenario would be something on Wednesday, which would be Wednesday the 27th at this point. That's the best case scenario for SLU's timeline, right? Like they're just it really seems like the deeper Indiana State goes, the more it reinforces that we've got our guy, because we're not hearing any other names linked to SLU in the meantime, right? Like this isn't one where like some people are hung up on one name. and we're just waiting for, like other names to kind of pop up at the meet. Like, no, this is like everything we've heard is with this one guy, and they're still playing, and so there's silence, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, it's certainly it is the most comfortable anxiety I've ever experienced in my life.
Right.
Um, and, I don't know if like Stu Durando's reporting on this has really helped matters emotionally speaking among Billiken fans. I think my thing with Stu is he I think he misses the nuance of what fans are looking at and reading. Maybe he doesn't.
Mm.
Maybe he's doing all this on purpose for clicks. I don't know. But I mean, it's very vague. I think he just likes to be vague by giving out, company lines that he gets. Like he loves going to get a quote and coming back with, we're very excited with everything's progressing as we thought it would. We got a couple more steps to like, I think he genuinely enjoys just passing that along.
You think so?
Cause it's ambiguous and it gets more people to talk in his mentions.
I think he would love to say more, but is kind of has hands tied behind his back,
Interesting.
right? Like
Interesting.
I bet he hears more, but doesn't want to give up a source
Yeah.
potentially. And I think there's a lot he would like to say every season, especially the way that Chris May's athletic department operates under that silence. I think there's a lot more that he hears and would like to say and just can't.
I, I mean, I don't think it's any coincidence that he attended, and that's Stu Durando, the first round NIT game
Right.
for Indiana State. I was surprised he was. I guess I wasn't surprised he was there. He wasn't there tonight. But I don't know. First of all, we did learn via Billikens.com a band member, I guess. I guess that yeah. They reportedly or they said they received an email overnight, a late Friday night or late last night, and basically that the band was reportedly basically people the athletic department was put on notice that a new coach could be announced as early as Tuesday. So I mean that to me that really doesn't say much other than like, hey, we don't know when we're going to be able to announce this, but if somebody loses, it could be Tuesday.
Right. Yeah. So that would be literally the earliest possible time that they could hear would be late Tuesday night. Um,
Uh,
so yeah, I mean, again, just another sign pointing in that direction.
it's I don't know. Um, I'm very, like I said, I'm very comfortable with. I believe, like I said, I'm sticking with the uh the notion that it was Schertz from the beginning. It has always been Schertz, and it will be Schertz.
Yeah, and so that opens up the other question from SLU's perspective. They've got their guy lined up. Do we think there could still be any poachers out on the horizon? Because I think that's the only thing you get nervous about when you're SLU, right? In this situation, is who else is still out there. So Florida Atlantic loses in the NCAA tournament, and Dusty May was announced as head coach of Michigan, right? So there's one off the table. Now, Josh Schertz went to Florida Atlantic, so that's kind of a wrinkle, like there's always the home team. I don't necessarily think that that's a move up from SLU, even though they are hot lately. They went on that Final Four run. I don't know how sustainable it is there, and I don't think that conference is very solid, long term or anything like that. We know West Virginia just hired Darian DeVries. Um, and so then you've got really five other programs that are still open that I think are inarguably higher level than SLU, right? You've got Louisville, probably the biggest of the bunch, Oklahoma State, Washington, Vanderbilt, and Stanford. And so the question is Schertz a realistic candidate at any of those schools?
Um, So why don't we throw Louisville out there first? Obviously, because that it will. Should we talk about FAU?
Yeah, let's do FAU first.
So here's the rub with FAU. And please don't start sweating after I say this. Josh Schertz went to FAU. Now my thing about FAU is that everybody and their grandma knew that FAU was going to open. So so Trilly Donovan, again, I don't want to go into things that Trilly Donovan is making money off of. I don't want to ruin his shtick, but Trilly Donovan has stuck by that it's Josh Schertz. There's a deal in place. So my thing about FAU is that if everybody and their mom knew FAU was opening, why would Josh Schertz go this far with St. Louis University?
Correct.
Why would he I totally understand getting in bed with St. Louis University for a little one night stand to make somebody else jealous. I totally interviewing, negotiating. Again, there's been no contract number leaked. There's no SLU's offering this much money. There's nothing like that's been leaked. So nothing that would signal to FAU that, you better act fast or I'm going to be gone. I'm in, you know what I mean? So if Schertz wanted FAU, I don't think he would have gone this far with SLU just based on the fact that he knew FAU was going to be there.
Right. The other thing I want to add about FAU is, I don't know if people realize this, but they did not have a basketball program before 1988. That was their first season as a Division II independent was in 88, 89. They moved into a conference in 1992, 93, I think is when they actually did jump to Division I to go to the Atlantic Sun. So it took 4 or 5 years from inception of their program to when they jumped. So, it was just a different era as you're looking at the 90s and this program basically getting off the ground in D1, winning 3 to 6 games a year before really becoming something. His first year as a student assistant at FAU in 1999-2000, they won 2 games. They went winless in the Athletic Sun, right? So yes, he went there, but I think we also have to consider that it's a much different place and a much different set of circumstances than when he was there. He went on to Lynn University, which is nearby, also in South Florida, another D2 school, and was an assistant there for a while. He became the associate head coach at Queens, which is now D1, but back when he was there in the early aughts was a D2 school. And then he went to become the associate head coach at High Point, which was in D1 at the time, 2003 to 2008, before then taking the head coaching job at Lincoln Memorial and making them a D2 powerhouse, for over a decade. So that's where he was before Indiana State. And so this is really, it's 2 points that are coming out of this. The first one is just that Florida Atlantic was a totally different place, totally different program when he was there, right? Number 2, 3 years ago, as we speak, 3 years ago, he was just leaving Division II to go to Indiana State. And if I'm the fan base of Louisville in particular, but also those other, quote unquote, high major programs, power conference football programs that I listed, it makes you a little nervous to hire a guy who 3 years ago was in Division II and who in the 3 years since hasn't been to the NCAA tournament. I think your fan base at one of those level programs is going to look at that as a huge risk.
Yeah.
Even though you and I and the people who have kind of schooled us on him and his background and what a good coach he is, know this guy's the real deal and he can win at a place like SLU. I think if you're Louisville or Vanderbilt or whatever, that's a little more of a leap for them to take, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think that, also it's a hard sell to the administration. I think because, he was at a D2 school. There is absolutely no pressure. He was at Indiana State, a place that hasn't won since Bird was there. And I mean, Indiana State's, and I don't want this to be a shot at Indiana State because I think we've seen from their fan base is incredible. But they are really like Terre Haute is not a boiler room of like basketball angst. Like Louisville's been through the ringer the
Yeah,
last since what's his ass was hired. Like they're ready to win now. They don't they have no interest in taking any sort of risks.
that's right. Yeah, they've had two coaches in a row go bad for very different reasons, but this was a place that not very long ago, 10 years ago, was winning national championships. So like that's just it's a completely different perspective that they're willing to pay anything to get the next coaching hire right and be a sure thing. And it just seems as much as we like the guy and think he'd be great
No.
at SLU, that's a heck of a risk for a fan base for a program like Louisville. That I think would be, I'm sure he has his fans even within their fan base as people who have looked at him and thought like this guy can win. I think even with that, man, would he be a tough sell?
Yeah, he would. And how shocked were you that Dusty May went to Michigan, by the way?
His
He
name
does look like a Michigan man,
his
like
name
their idea.
yeah. His name has been floated alongside some of the power conference jobs that have opened up for 2 years in a row now. So I'm not entirely surprised to see him go. I thought like we had heard enough with him and Louisville that maybe there was something there. But no, I figured he would take one of these jobs this season. I just assumed that would happen. So I wasn't super surprised. It's just that I thought there was a little more smoke building with Louisville first. I think he is a Midwestern guy though. He's from Illinois. He went to Indiana. There's like a lot of Big Ten roots there that I think had to be kind of a comfortable selling point as well.
Yeah. Darian DeVries heading to West Virginia. So that takes, I mean, West Virginia seems like the kind of place that, again, it's a spiritual successor to Terre Haute. It's a small college town in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
Um,
right. Just a higher level program in a power conference where there's going to be more pressure to succeed. And once again, they've had a recent coaching hire that was supposed to be great, kind of go off the rails in some very weird ways
it was
at
good
the
for a
end.
while and then it wasn't.
It was good until it wasn't. And so no, I think a young guy on the come up probably makes more sense to them at this time. And he was one that we knew was going to get one of these power conference jobs as well because number one, he beat Schertz in the final of the Valley Conference tournament, so he's in the tournament. He's been in the tournament several times lately. He's got more of a track record. So I figured that yeah, it was going to be a level up that he wound up at.
I'm happy to report, by the way, that the cult of the Grand Canyon is out of the NCAA tournament.
A round later than I had hoped, but oh well.
Yes. Oklahoma State, Washington, Vanderbilt, Stanford, they're still open. Oklahoma State, again, they're long suffering. I look at these I feel like Schertz is a guy where you're outside of SLU. I feel like he's a guy that a power conference program would take a flyer on. So if like Oklahoma State's coach left to go somewhere higher, like that's when you take a shot at a guy like Schertz. If you're a
Mhm.
power conference, if you're a Big 12 program and your coach goes to the SEC or the ACC, all of these I feel like are in such bad shape that you kind of have to really bring in a guy with a lot of experience dealing with the pressure of the big time.
Yeah, I mean that's true. That's a good point. If not, you have your pick of coaches who are really kind of flying high right now at places like Appalachian State, James Madison, UNC Asheville, Samford. There's four right there, kind of in the southeast coming up who might make sense at a place like a few of those. But I guess Stanford and Washington being out west, transitioning to Midwest and East Coast conferences. Um, they're kind of weird programs right now in that making that transition. I do kind of wonder if that impacts what they do with their coaching search at all, but we're already hearing Danny Sprinkle rumored to Washington, and Utah State just lost today, Sunday, as we record this. I don't know what the rumor mill is around Stanford at the moment, but I haven't heard Schertz linked to any of them at all. We have kind of heard rumors that Vanderbilt might be taking a look at him, but I still kind of think that when the dust settles there, Chris Mack is going to look like a really attractive candidate there.
What's going
Um,
on there? Like, why is there zero um anything about, like, I saw one tweet like 3 days ago and then
yeah,
nothing.
yeah. So like, just why would that be taking so
No,
long?
yeah, what's like, or what? I mean, is that why? I mean, is this the same scenario as we have going on here, just with a different candidate?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good question.
Well,
I think
obviously it's not the same because Chris Mack isn't coaching right now.
I, I
But
do wonder what if it's a question of process at some of these schools, right? Like maybe they want to see, okay, who's still standing in the Sweet 16? Who just lost in the round of 32? Are there any other guys we think we can go get from this pool? I think probably their their boards and their athletic departments and everything probably want to show that they did their due diligence on like a full search and didn't just have a guy handpicked. Chris Mack makes a lot of sense to Vanderbilt on paper. His daughter's about to go there and help revive their volleyball program.
well, hey, maybe that's the reason why he doesn't go there. Yeah, I mean, maybe daughter Mac doesn't want Papa Mac there.
Yeah, walking the same
Like,
halls.
yeah, what the? I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
It's
don't
like a
know. I don't.
Goofy movie, but with sports.
Yeah, I don't know the dynamic
Extremely
there.
Goofy movie.
I don't remember the dynamic, but I know Mac's wife is a pretty intense sports mom. I know they're like she was known at Xavier games for real like you could she was standing and yelling at refs constantly and like just a really intense competitive person. They were both college athletes. Both of their daughters are now college athletes or about to be college athletes. So yeah, they're pretty intense, but yeah. So I can't say I know the whole dynamic, but on paper it sure makes a lot of sense.
We're really getting to know Josh Schertz a little bit better these last few days, following him on social media. And West Pine Bills really pointed out, but he's really fun to follow.
He is. He seems like he's got a big personality. He clearly really, really loves the game and the sport, and the fan engagement. Even if we do think he's about to break a fan base's heart, he just seems like a good dude, and seems to kind of have a healthy perspective on everything.
Yeah, and I also think, he seems like a guy that would do well in an area like St. Louis. Again,
Yeah.
St. Louis is a big city in a lot of ways, but it's very much, we talked about it when we had to talk about the media here and pushing certain candidates. A lot about it is very, down home. There's a reason Charlie Spoonhour did well here.
Hmm.
There's a reason why Rick Majerus, for all his faults with the national media and people not liking the way he operated, like, he still was very endearing to a lot of people around here.
Yeah,
Um,
that's absolutely right. We like that personality out of a coach. I think Schertz would succeed in that sense for sure. I mean, think of the example I always use is like how much people love. You're right, like guys like your spoon hours or like even Ford. I think it was the point we made recently how he kind of had that folksy charm, and just knew how to work in a town like St. Louis. But I think about a guy like Tony La Russa who came in and won multiple World Series, and I don't know anyone who likes like as a dude. It seems like nobody actually likes him. Like they never. He always felt like an outsider, and I'm like, all he's done here is win, and people are just kind of like, he's cold. He's not our kind of guy. I guess the end of his career certainly didn't help either, but it was true
no,
before, a DUI or whatever.
poor West Pine Bills having to hear us talk about Tony La Russa. Big White Sox fans over there. Um, yeah, I think I wanted to mention kind of one more thing on Josh Schertz, and I think it really, I think Billiken Roy on the message board said it a lot of said it in a great way. And I'm paraphrasing, is watching Schertz throughout this NIT just makes me have more respect for him. He's got, you can see the character in him. And he's working the job till the end. He's paid to do a job. He's going to be there. He's going to do it the best way he knows how. And he's going to hopefully lead them to an NIT championship. And you know what, as much as I would hate to wait that long.
Yeah. Yeah. So like we just said, like what, 15 minutes ago, we thought, oh, if they don't make the NCAA tournament, this is great for us because he's just going to bail and come to St. Louis right away. And all he's doing is seeing it through, seeing the job through, and doing right by, the people that he's committed to this season. And if that means they keep winning and we have to keep waiting, if we have our guy, I'm not all that worried about it. Like, could we lose a little bit in the transfer portal on this go round? Yeah, probably. Maybe we could. But if he comes in and gets enough NIL money to compete with and gets a good contract and he's like ready to go, and I'd take the upfront hit of losing a few weeks instead of the long-term hit of making the decision on a wrong coach, right?
Yeah.
So I think Roy's absolutely right there. It's a high character move. It's the way to go. It's what I would want an outgoing coach to do for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
it's good karma too.
It is, and it's just, it seems like everybody's doing the right thing right now, which feels exceedingly rare in big time sports anymore. So if that's what we're getting, then I welcome that with open arms, and go win the NIT, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I just really like every night watching them in the NIT is like, I think I said, I texted you guys, it's like watching SLU play the same team over and over wearing different jerseys every night. Because all they do is just get the easiest baskets possible.
Mm.
Like, you could sit here and watch a Josh Schertz team and be like, this is the luckiest team I've ever seen. If you're not really paying attention, you'd be like, I don't get it. Like, how do they keep getting open?
I'm, for selfish reasons, really ready for us to make this higher and like hope that everything it goes the way we expect it to, because I want him to come talk to us, and I've already like thought of things that I would ask him, right? Like I'm that much like engaged with what this guy is doing and interested in him and how he's winning and all of these things. I love the way they play. You're absolutely right. It's a blast to watch them on offense. And yeah, I just really excited if things go the way we expect it to, Zach.
Yeah, and I don't expect anything to change. Obviously, I think obviously I'm nervous. I'm always nervous. I'm a Billiken fan. This is really the only thing I care about in life. No, yeah, I think we're going to be okay. And stay the course. St. Louis University, do not waver if there is a deal in place.
Yeah, don't let Bryce Drew slip into your DMs now.
Jesus Christ, please don't. Don't go meet him in Colorado.
Don't go and try and change anything that happened 8 years ago.
No, not at all. Should we go around? Oh, no, we need to talk about the transfer portal. Oh, by the way, speaking of the transfer portal, I did want to mention where with people that are worrying about, SLU missing out on the transfer portal. Likely this is, yes, Schertz is working for Indiana State right now and, coaching for them, but at the same time, he's still got contacts out there.
Yeah.
With people in the portal. He's still working the portal. I don't know. I would worry if you're interested in, a guy like Gibson Jimerson staying. But I do think the guys that were further a little bit down the bench, I think if you haven't entered the portal already, I think those guys are clearly waiting.
Mhm.
So as long as those guys are interested in waiting, I think we're fine. I totally understand who has entered and if anybody wants to enter,
Yeah.
but I don't think we're losing any ground because he's not officially our coach.
No, I think we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay because also think about we've said before, like coaches have the ability to bring players with them, right?
Right.
And like I think it might be unrealistic to expect him to bring six guys with him, but if he brings two or three or four, that's something that we have seen before, and we've played multiple teams this season where we've seen that happen.
We have a
Utah
women's
State, VCU,
basketball team who did it last year.
she brought four. And so we've seen that happen. And if he does that, that's a huge game changer for us. Those are guys, by the way, still playing, not in the portal.
Right.
So there's this in theory the same thing. There's other schools who are not getting in their ears right now because they're not in the portal.
Not legally anyway.
And if if their coach is late to move and they're late in the portal and everything, it just seems like more natural that they would have better odds of coming here. So anyway, that point as well.
Yeah, and I think I'd be more nervous, you know, looking at this roster. I really just think it was an incomplete roster.
Yeah.
Not so much that we had bad players, because I do think we did have some guys that just we had a bunch of guys that couldn't play defense, but also we didn't have a rim protector. And you saw how the game changed when Ford finally started to really let Steph breathe out there and be confident out there. I think there are guys on this roster that are very talented that can fit in this Josh Schertz system. So you can marry, some S or some ISU guys and some guys off a Travis Ford roster. So I'm not totally worried. I don't think the cupboard is bare by any means.
Mhm.
I just think this team was poorly constructed and run. So that's something I think that's a positive I think we can take going forward.
Yeah.
But let's get in the transfer portal. Sincere Parker entered the transfer portal in what might be the least surprising transfer portal entry in Billiken history.
Now you and I both knew he was going to go.
Yeah.
We had heard enough smoke there that there were some morale issues and he just was for various reasons it just sounds like he's not going to come back. And we're hearing Zach Tipton Edits tweeted out that the schools he's heard from already include Ole Miss, Georgia, Arizona State, DePaul, Oregon, Cal, Mizzou, Illinois, Western Kentucky, and McNeese State. So that's a pretty solid list of his first, 10 or 11 schools that are reaching out. A lot of major programs in there who clearly saw a lot from Sincere this season and think he can make a step up. He should, I think, just have one more season of eligibility. And
Do you think he'll get a waiver? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
yeah, no, he's he came from JUCO last time, so I don't think there's an issue.
Right. No,
anyway.
no, there's no
Yeah.
issue. I'm
No,
being an
I know.
asshole. Sion Medley entered the portal, and one school I thought we had heard that had inquired about him at the Atlantic 10 tournament was not on the list, and that's Dayton. I had heard Dayton was interested in him, but he has entered the portal.
Yeah, and this one's funny because there's a really long list, and it's mostly schools that would be, I think you could say, a step down, right? The one A10 school that is jumping off of the list at me, tweeted out by Tobias Bass, who thankfully always tags us when he
Bless
when he
him.
has he's great when he has a piece of news on a SLU player. The A10 school on here is St. Bonaventure, and you and I had heard rumors that maybe Dayton was sniffing around, not just at him but at Parker as well. So I don't know if these guys just don't hear. I don't think these are complete lists by any means. Dayton might very well be looking at both of them. But that is interesting that the school that we had heard is not on either of their lists, coming from two different sources. But Zach, in addition to Bonaventure, he's got a ton of other schools on here: Wyoming, St. Peter's, Florida International, Radford, Abilene Christian, Fullerton, Delaware, Temple, Milwaukee, Albany, Kent State, Iona, Bryant. I'm just going to skip to the notable ones now: James Madison, Northern Kentucky, Furman, UMass Lowell, the flagship. He's got Fairfield on here, so some other schools that did pretty well this season, but I think most of these would represent a step down from the A10, um, at least what we're seeing so far.
Um, Gibson Jimerson entering the portal. I mean, I'm not surprised. I am a little bit bummed, obviously, and nervous. And I would, you know what? I'm not even nervous. I would like him to stay, but again, you know, it is what it is.
Well, it's also not a done deal, right? Because
Right.
people go in the portal and they go back home sometimes. You know, they like we
Yuri
saw
Collins.
Dandridge last year
Oh
with
yeah,
Memphis. You
Dandridge.
know, it was a guy who
Dandruff.
we thought we had the inside track on.
He's flaky. Dandruff.
He led us on for 6 8 weeks, whatever, and then went back to Memphis. So
You're not
yeah,
going to acknowledge that joke, are you?
no, certain things just have to be uh overlooked, but you're gonna drag me back into it.
Yep.
But I do like it more as time goes on. Anyway, so it's not a done deal that he wouldn't come back because you look at a guy like Josh Schertz, again, with the caveat, assuming everything works out and he comes to SLU, yada yada. Jimerson would be an absolute gift to Schertz on that roster, and
And vice versa. Yes.
They would make each other really, really happy for 1 year. And so I think that that's something that Jimerson cannot shut the door on. I don't know what his personal reasons for going or staying might be, not being from St. Louis, but we do hear he's got relationship with someone who's at SLU and who I think will be there next year. So anyway, the schools he's hearing from so far, not surprising that they're all a level up
Are
because
huge.
every school would want what he does on their roster. You might not want him to be your number one guy, especially for a one and done, which he's going to be, a grad transfer 1 year player. But he would thrive anywhere. And in Georgetown, Oklahoma, Providence, Virginia Tech, Penn State, Kansas, Maryland, Northwestern, Colorado, DePaul, Notre Dame, Virginia, all power conference schools, a lot of whom played in the tournament this year, some of whom will have a coaching change. Virginia, a school that for years we've mentioned as like if they ever wanted to try and get him to transfer back, to within an hour of where he grew up, that's a school that could desperately use a shooter like that. And as we watch them struggle to score in the last couple weeks, I mean, man, oh man, he would be great there.
You said Kansas was on that list. Is
Yeah,
this what Bill Self meant when he said he was looking forward to next year already?
maybe so.
Trying to recruit Gibson Jimerson.
Maybe so. Yeah. I mean, for a program like that, right? Like the highest level program, we've seen some of these schools just have really seasons where they just struggle every once in a while. And this season for Kansas was looking pretty great again until the latter part of the year where the wheels kind of came off. They had some injuries, they weren't playing well. But if you can add a guy with a ton of experience and one elite skill to a team like that, right? That's cycling through a lot of NBA talent level, but guys that are younger, guys that might not be around as long. I think Jimerson actually is a player that does make some sense. And would he be a number one or two or even three guy there? No, but could he find a role on a team like that? Sure, why not?
Um, Dude, I really, a lot of people I talk to have, or not a lot of people, but there are people that I talk to kind of around SLU, like the watch SLU. They're not necessarily hardcore fans, but they may not love Jimerson. They may think he's a bit overrated. I mean, I still think he really was done a disservice by being the number one, the de facto number one in the last couple seasons here.
Yeah.
And I think if he is, instant offense, 3-point shooter on a team, and the guy who can make back cuts in a Josh Schertz offense, he would score a lot more, given the amount of open layups you can get on back cuts when you actually run them correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Houston and Texas A&M cheerleaders are on the floor right now. Sorry. Yeah, my fault. But transfer portal. Anything else from the transfer portal? Oh, we saw one of the dumbest edits to ever grace Twitter this weekend. Did you see this one?
No, I was not really on Twitter this weekend, so you're gonna have to fill me in.
Oh, so it is so so it is Troy D'Amico from SIU Carbondale.
Oh yeah, yeah, you did. You actually texted this one.
Yes, absolutely the craziest. Troy D'Amico's from Chicago, not
Sure.
even west of the Mississippi. He's committing to DePaul as a transfer, and
Yeah.
his graphic is everything but Wintrust Arena is the Vegas skyline. You've got, where did they use the Vegas sign that says committed? It says go DePaul. It makes
Yeah.
no sense.
Really odd graphic. I don't get it at all. I always thought it was lame when people like sub in the word Vegas for Ville right on their town. Like if you're from Clarksville, Tennessee, and you say Clark's Vegas or something like that. I always kind of rolled my eyes at things like that. Because it's almost like a ironic, way of calling your town lame or something like that. But putting the putting the Vegas sign on your announcement of your commitment to DePaul in Chicago, I don't really get it. It's like Chicago is the third biggest city in the country and has a very notable skyline. And DePaul plays at, within that skyline, basically. Campus is kind of just barely out of that skyline. I mean, like, I don't know what your photogenic cities around, and you want to use the Vegas sign. I don't know. I hope he didn't pay too much for it.
I hope he's getting his money back. uh,
Probably not. Probably not. I do think it's interesting that a 9-point scorer from SIU is going up to DePaul. I'm sure Holtman has a plan for him, but we'll see.
yeah. Hit up our guy R3_Ethan on Twitter who did our new logo.
Yeah,
Fantastic job.
like to see his edit work.
Yes. Around the A10, there is some interesting departures.
Yeah, one of these was pretty straightforward. The other one less so, Zach. Keith Dambrod is retiring, and says it was the plan all along. He just happens to be going out on top after Duquesne's first NCAA tournament appearance since 1977. And by the way, a win that I don't know. I certainly didn't see coming. I don't know if you saw coming, but a win as well. So this has kind of been in the rumor mill for several months. Drew Joyce is rumored to be the favored replacement. He's a former high school teammate of LeBron James, and his dad now coaches at their alma mater, St. Vincent St. Mary's, where he's been the head coach ever since Dambrot left for Akron, 20 years ago. So the idea is that Joyce has kind of been groomed as the next head coach there, and I'm sure that's going to be what happens. We saw before the tournament, LeBron surprised the whole team with some new shoes for the tournament, got him that win over BYU in the first round. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm fine with this. I'm so happy I've never been like a Dambrod guy, but like the fact that he's like all along being like, this is it, I'm retiring. And then he goes and wins the conference tournament and then wins an NCAA tournament game. That's pretty cool. Like you gotta like that. And then now we're going to have LeBron's hand-picked successor.
We're all screwed. We're all screwed.
So, well, it's interesting.
Will LeBron sign with Duquesne, or is he going to play for Duquesne when he retires from the NBA? Amateurism's out the window now, right?
I would like to see. I mean, he's still got his 4 years, right? He never came to college. So yeah, like if that's all it takes, then yeah, I'd like to see a 43-year-old LeBron in a couple of years lace him up for Duquesne. Sure.
Yeah, I think as excited as Johnny the Bluff blog would be about that. I think I'm good on them being that getting that sort of favorable treatment. I think this is enough Duquesne win for a while for them. I think we can, they can sit back down. No, seriously, though, very happy for for Duquesne, and it's good for the conference. As
Yeah, I
much
think
as
so.
I like to root against our conference in a lot of ways. Um, if you thought that that our head coaching search was going to be the most nuanced piece of news we talked about today, you would be sorely mistaken, because there is some major drama going down at in Olean, New York right now.
Yeah, the St. Bonaventure athletic director is out. After what, Zach, was a really weird week
Mm-hmm.
in terms of
And not the weirdest thing an athletic director has done this week.
no, yes, that's also true, but like uh there was a big list of programs that turned down the NIT, right? And all of them were power conference teams with the exception of St. Bonaventure. And that just raised an eyebrow. And then some of the initial comments out of the program were just weird, right? Like there were comments that they wouldn't have had enough players, that there was some apathy regarding the NIT for those who could still play. So they made the announcement, or I guess they had to reach out and let them know that we're not interested if we're offered. But it seems like the fans didn't take this well, and that maybe some of the players and coaches were kind of like, I don't think we did say that. And here we are a week later, and the athletic director's out.
Yeah, I think SB Unfurled tweeted out a very detailed blog regarding the situation, and I don't think we would be able to do it justice. But
Hmm.
I don't think this was the loan issue. There was a lot, and this just happened to be the straw that broke the camel's back.
Hmm.
But hey, you know what? I like to see any school in turmoil that isn't SLU. Um,
Yeah. Like, I mean, like you said, I think there were some other things going on here, and this, yeah, right. Like this is the time of year where these things happen. So, given all the weird fallout from this, I think it was just time for everybody to move on there, which I guess is fine. This is just not a season that went very well for them overall.
uh, I have breaking news, and that's that we are really bad at picking NCAA teams rapid fire.
Yeah, I would hope that this isn't breaking news because anyone who
No,
listened to us last week would know that by now our first round picks, Zach, were not great. But the
my
difference
bracket did a lot better than these picks.
the difference between did it really?
Yeah.
Mine did not.
Oh,
Mine
yours is terrible.
mine is
You're
really
in the toilet bowl of the Billikens.com pool.
my daughter picked Clemson to win it all because Clemson is close to her name, Clementine. And so she picked Clemson to beat St. Peter's because, my name.
Exactly.
And I think she's probably ahead of me in the standings.
Um, yeah. So Pete, you had Mississippi State, BYU, Creighton. I mean, are we go through all these? It's so bad. It's not even
I
funny.
put them out here. I put them out here just to kind of show just we hold ourselves accountable, right? So
Yes, we have to
like
look at our mistakes.
yeah, that's right. Like you don't see the mainstream sports press doing this,
No,
Zach. Like we're like here we
no.
are holding our own feet to the fire, holding ourselves to account for our picks.
Yes.
And no, was I right about Vermont or St. Mary's or Florida Atlantic or McNeese or any of these? No, most of them I was wrong on. So I did see someone on Billikens.com say that his bracket was busted and he blamed us. He blamed our
I'm
picks.
sorry if you take either of our picks, just saying it off the cuff, like you got other problems.
Go on YouTube Live or Instagram Live, pull money out of your wallet and set it on fire, and that is a better use of your because at least that way you're not wasting time in addition to throwing your money away. But yeah, if you like, because I think what I made clear is that what I tried to make clear is that when I did that, I had not yet.
No, you didn't.
I didn't watch the
No, you
selection
had
show.
no idea who
I
was even
hadn't
in the
done
tournament.
research. I was just like, all right, give them to me. Let's go. And so like that was off the top of the dome. It wasn't very good. I did make a couple changes in my own bracket, but I did stick with a lot of those. And yeah, shouldn't have. I should have done a lot more.
My strategy every year is to just hit the chalk bracket, the chalk button,
Oh yeah.
and then just work backwards
Oh,
from
interesting.
that. And then just see like pick make sure my champion's set, then hit the chalk, and
Hmm.
then go from there. And I did okay. I think I'm like 14th, depending on what happened today. I'm 14th in Billikens.com.
Out of what, about 50 or so?
Yeah, let's find out. I left I lost the little thing to use my other mouse and keyboard, so I'm like leaning in. Um it is I am sitting at in the group fifth place. Hot damn.
Wow, I'm impressed, Zach. That's good. I'm 50th out of 57.
Yeah, I'm fifth with like one, two, three, four, five. I'm six. There's six of us in fifth place. The max, I am. I can get 1740. Like I'm in
Yeah.
actual really good spot here.
Yeah,
There's
you're in
only
the
one
mix.
other. There's only one other person that can uh finish better than, or there's two other people that can finish better than me.
Right.
Slew let the dogs out can tie me. If UConn wins, I get, or I don't know. I don't know how it really works, but the problem being that everyone that I am close to in the standings, like the max, is also picked Houston.
Yeah, or UConn. So let's just say Houston wins. You've just got to get your Sweet 16, your Elite Eight, your Final Four games better
Yeah.
than they do.
Yeah. I tried to be a guy where I'm a one bracket, one bracket, but in different pools. I
Yes.
enter the same picks, and but my work I copied them over, and I can't even cheat good. Like I wouldn't even get at cheating in school. Because I missed a few of them. I didn't change.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sitting with let's see, my final four is I can never read these, dude. Like I really can never read the brackets. Houston, Tennessee, Connecticut, Arizona. So I'm boring. It's a
Yeah.
really boring bracket, but I've never been this close to winning a bracket before. So I'm hyped, people. Not as hyped as I was to crack open some two men in a garden this weekend.
No, Zach, we said it last week, and there's no better NCAA tournament snack food. There isn't, unless than chips and salsa, right? Unless you're also a pickle guy too. And I've said it once, I've said it a million times. The classic dill pickles at Two Men in a Garden are sensational. They're excellent. It's a great thick cut, nice crunch. And lately, the batches just keep getting better and better. Add them to your board. If you're putting out a board, charcuterie, meat, cheese, olives, spreads, whatever you got, put some of these pickles on there. Trust me, you're just gonna have to trust me on this one. They're great. You won't be disappointed. And like I said, they keep getting better. Head over to twomeninthegarden.com, pick some up for yourself today, or get them at any local grocer around the St. Louis area. Schnucks, Straub's, wine and cheese place. Go get them. Twomeninthegarden.com.
I gotta ask you a question. Have you ever thought about air frying pickles?
So I've been kind of lobbying for an air fryer for a while around here, and my wife, for whatever reason, is vehemently
She's not a
opposed.
single appliance woman. She doesn't like
No,
the things that only do one thing.
that's right.
She's not a single
We
use.
we have a few of those kind of things, and she hates them. I think she hates clutter. She likes a nice clean countertop, a nice clean house, and our kitchen is pretty small. It's the one room in our house I don't really like. And yeah, no, we don't have an air fryer. So I've tried not to think about air frying too much just because I don't want to get too
It's a
attached to
sore
the idea of
subject.
one. Yeah, right.
I might have to give it a try over here. I'm not a pickle guy as we know, but I know my mom is, so I
Yeah.
might do that for her.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Uh, she actually mentioned it yesterday. She's like, "Oh, I was at the store and I was staring at them for like 5 minutes on the shelf and I didn't pull the trigger." Um, yeah, no, get over to Two Men in the Garden, and if you're out there and you want to, and go try fried pickles and send us a picture on social media of them for sure.
Yeah,
Go do that. Um, Women's basketball accepted. They did not do a St. Bonaventure. They did accept an invite to the Women's National Invitational Tournament. It was announced late Sunday night, right after we recorded our episode. Thanks for that. And the
of
matchup was
course.
announced on Monday, the day the episode dropped. Um, is this true or not? I read this somewhere, and I don't know if I kind of extrapolated this. But the NCAA is created the WBIT. Is that true to kind of regain control of the secondary tournament?
Yeah, that's right. So I only really caught wind of this like a week ago when this
I
was
had no
all
idea.
coming out. Right. Like the story at the time kind of got buried because even as women's basketball has come so much more into the forefront of the national sports conversation, I never really saw this ahead of time. But yeah, it's really basically that the NCAA created the WBIT and it has kind of pushed the WNIT down a level. Um, Basically the NCAA kind of lost control, so they're trying to take over as much as they can. Um, I think Zach, I've got to do a lot more reading on kind of what the evolution there is, but they didn't fully own the WNIT the way they did for the men, like the NIT. And so they created this to kind of
Yeah.
capture that revenue and therefore, bump the WNIT down a notch, capture more of the revenue. And I think it kind of blew up in their face a little bit because some of the teams that they had hoped would be those one seeds opted out. And so some of that, I don't know, it didn't really become the event that they wanted it to in the first place. So I don't think it's I don't, I mean, if you want to call the WNIT now the CBI or something like that, whatever, but I don't think it's as cut and dry as they would have liked.
Yeah, no, not at all. And but I mean, I think it's hard when you have a brand like the NIT.
Hmm.
Like again, this is a tournament that was the national championship at one point on the men's side. It's hard to undo all of that just because you decided to create a new tournament and call it something
Right.
similar. By the way, WBIT is the worst freaking name on the planet. Like, well, that's terrible. Like by kind of co-opting it, you're making it worse. Like it's
Yeah.
just not. That's just not a great branding. The women's basketball invitational it
Yeah.
sounds better when you say it out loud.
It,
Sounds better
it's,
when you say the full name.
it sounds so much like the WNIT. It's almost like they just want to cause confusion in the marketplace
Mm-hmm.
and drive their competitor out of business. Like by
Mm-hmm.
by by thinking that they're bigger and stronger, we'll drive this one off to the margins and we'll just be what people think of. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like any of it, but whatever.
Well, anyway, the Billikens are in the WNIT, and I got to be honest, I would not be surprised to see them take this a long way.
Yeah, they had two pretty, as we'll see, pretty winnable games out of the gate, and they've got a third one lined up, Zach. I think the bracket is fairly favorable for them. There's a lot of teams that are kind of like 500-ish, like decent teams and everything, but I don't know, something about this team in March is a little frustrating for other teams to deal with.
Yeah, they really. I don't know what it is about them, but I talk about it every damn time. I give up on this team. They go down 10 early. I give up on them. I'm like, nope, I've seen this, and I haven't seen this. I have not seen this happen under Tillett. But yet I still think that there's no way they're going to come back. And they always come back. They
Yeah.
are Tillett is a genius apparently at in-game situations. Like adjusting on the fly, she is the anti Travis Ford.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
she's
wild.
a tinkerer for sure.
Um, anyway, the Billikens beat Central Arkansas 66-61 on Wednesday, or sorry, on Thursday, the 21st. That's a win. The W stands for win, not Wednesday. Um, by the way, I thought when this was announced and we were going to Central Arkansas, I was like, Central Arkansas, they've got the Sugar Bears, which by the way, awesome way to keep around like that, antiquated. Like it's still pretty like it's unique and I like it. It's, whatever. But I was like Central Arkansas Sugar Bears, like that seems like a sneaky basketball program, women's basketball, where they would like fill an arena. And I thought they
Mhm.
really did have good fan support, but it wasn't like what I thought it was. But I was nervous because it seems like a place that would really support women's basketball.
Well, also the fact that they were undefeated at home. I
That's
think
true.
they were like 17-0 at home coming into this game too, right? So like even though like their record didn't really pop on paper, like when you first looked at them or looked at the matchup, like there was nothing super scary about it, except for the fact that they just haven't lost at home. And so that's the one thing that kind of gave me pause, like, oh, there's a real a home court advantage there that we're gonna have to deal with.
Yeah, and there was a little bit. But the Billikens came out on top again, where they went down early and then just kind of, you know, willed their way,
Yeah.
basically imposed their will and their style of play on Central Arkansas, leading to a Billiken win. Peyton Kennedy scored 28 points. She continues her role of just really good games.
Yeah, she really does. She was good in this one. Didn't shoot the lights out from three, but nobody really did, right? Like it just wasn't a big factor for them. They only shot nine of them and made four. So good percentage, but just not a big part of their game. I think she had two of those four, by the way. They won the glass, the rebounding battle by one. They only turned it over 12 times and they forced 17 from Central Arkansas. So the kind of head-to-head battles you want to win on paper, I think they did better and they just, they had Peyton Kennedy hitting shots when they needed her to. They did struggle to score early, Zach. I mean, they only had 11 in the first quarter, 27 at halftime. So UCA, luckily, the Bills defense was there because they took, I think, a 2-point lead into halftime. And then SLU came out of the gate and scored them by 10 in the third quarter.
Yeah, the Billikens again struggled to score really early. You already said that, didn't you? Because
Hmm.
you just deleted it. See, I was looking up the score of the Cincinnati IPFW game. Um, Kyla McMakin finished with 14 and 8 in this one. Julia Martinez had 8 points, 11 assists, 4 rebounds, 5 blocks, or 5 steals, a block, 4 turnovers, and a partridge in a pear tree. Like you said, 3-point shooting, not a huge factor for the Billikens, but they still went 4 and 9. And they got the rebounding battle by 1. A solid road win, one that was nervy early, which is basically every women's basketball game here at SLU under Tillett. But they pulled it out. A 5-point win on the road is impressive in the postseason.
Yeah, I want to
Uh,
see them just like every once in a while just drop 30 in the first quarter, just absolutely go off and put a game out of reach from the start. They don't do that very often. They would
no.
rather make it as hard as possible on themselves.
I find it really interesting how the 4 quarters has really contributed in women's basketball to games that just like it's like quarter by quarter.
Mhm.
You don't see shorter runs like you do in the men's game. It's very much like a team comes out and plays a really good quarter. You go into the huddle after that quarter, and then the other team comes out and kind of pushes back. It's very interesting to see.
Yeah.
68-64 win today, yesterday, as you're hearing this, against Northern Iowa at Chaffetz Arena. And again, I said it a million times, every single game this team goes down early and I fall for it, thinking they're going to fold, and they just do not go away. Kennedy once again led the way for the Billikens with 19 points, adding in 8 rebounds.
Yeah, she was great as always, and we need her to keep stepping up as we go on. But not just her, Tiara Simon was great in this one. 6 of 8 from the field for 12 points. We've been worried all year long about the front court play, and she's been pretty nice actually down the stretch in quite a few of these games. So to see her step up in this one's a big deal. She had 8 rebounds to go with that as well, tied for Kennedy with the lead in team rebounds. So really pleased with her game.
I really like Tierra Simon. One of the first plays of this game, she drove baseline, and Colin Surrey, our good friend, made a point to talk about how he had seen that from her and mentioned that he really liked it to her. And of course, the first play of the game was a Tierra Simon drive underneath. Some good news in this one, though. We had a return to the lineup after a serious injury in the Atlantic 10 championship, Pete.
Yeah, really scary moment. But Markavia, or Nook Shavers, as they know her, came back. She played just 6 minutes, but she did have 5 points. She had a rebound. She had a couple of fouls, so she made her presence felt. She hit a free throw. Just a big relief, not to just hear that she's healthy, but the fact that she could play and play pretty well in limited minutes. It's just what like man. Well, that's great to see. That's huge.
One of the more interesting parts of the Billiken defense in this one, not only the number of turnovers they caused, but or forced, but they caused so many tie-ups.
They do, and you don't really see those in a box score because you only win half of those, right? You only get the ball half the time there. And the other thing that doesn't show up necessarily is deflections. But you notice that with this team as well, like Martinez, Calhoun, a few others really have active hands, and you get those tie-ups and you get a lot of deflections too. And I love that just because it feels like they always have opposing guards on edge when they play them.
Um, Kennedy, Calhoun, and Martinez. That's three people, not Kennedy Calhoun. Uh, they combined for 12 of the 16 Billiken assists in this one. I really loved the ball movement in this one. There were plays where I thought, they should have had an easy layup that where the ball just didn't bounce the right way. But I mean, the way this team shares the ball is masterful at times.
4, 4, and 4 for assists out of them, and then three of the remaining four came from Tierra Simon. I love to see a big who can pass. So really nice ball movement and only 10 turnovers in this game, even better than the 12 they had in the previous game.
The Billikens really loved the second and third quarters of this one, Pete.
Yeah, they sure did. Speaking of the hot quarters, they went to 16 to 10 in the second, 23 to 17 in the third. Really nice lockdown defense, even if the offense in the second quarter was a little suspect. But the other thing that has happened in both of these games recently, they can't score at all in the first. They get a little bit better in the second, and then they actually score pretty well in the second half. So just a weird pattern that's played out so far in this tournament.
39 of their 68 points in this one coming in the second and third quarters.
Yeah.
The Billikens win in this one is a bit of a revenge for the 21 third round loss it suffered to these Panthers. I believe that was obviously under Coach Stone. They will play IPFW on Friday. By the way, infuriating schedule. Infuriating. Like that is so long to wait for the next game.
Well, yeah. Okay. So you're saying after IPFW beat Cincinnati in the second round, right?
Yeah. We have to wait till Friday to play again.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
that's a long time. Maybe I'm
Right.
wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's normal. But it feels like these games are just way spread out.
It is. I'm trying to look at the whole bracket right now and see if there's like a logical reason for
There's
why that would
still
be.
a bunch of games to be played tomorrow and then two on Tuesday.
Okay.
And they
Yeah.
played one game Saturday.
So will we host
No,
that game?
that'll be at IPFW. IPFW is actually has a sick record.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Home teams in bold. So yeah. So yeah, they will be hosting.
it is up on the on ESPN, by the way. Uh,
Yeah.
IPFW is 23 and 12 on the season. And they crushed Cincinnati, who is this is a bad Cincinnati team, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I saw but Cincinnati, I guess, was the higher seed because they played the winner of IPFW in Eastern Kentucky. Right. So I thought, well, Cincinnati's record's not great, but first season in the Big 12, maybe they're still thought to be the stronger team because you would think getting a first round bye would indicate that you're the higher seed.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think this all comes down to the fact that the WBIT tried to sip on their Kool-Aid, and teams are not wanting to get in on either of these tournaments.
Yeah,
And so the seeds are just all wonky, and
they really are.
I have really no idea. But I mean, Purdue, Fort Wayne, just on paper, their schedule or their record is nice. Nothing really to write home about though in terms of wins. They lost to Iowa
Mhm.
98-59 early in the season. Horizon League, I mean, they finished third in the Horizon League, 13-7 in conference, 5 games back of Cleveland State. So I mean, honestly, I don't see any reason why this Billiken team can't continue on, you know, and win this game, and even, take it all the way to Indianapolis. Wait, no. Men's tournaments in Indiana. I don't know where the women's NIT is.
Yeah, it doesn't say right on the bracket,
But
but
this,
yeah.
while you're looking up that, this third round NIT appearance is going to match the furthest the program has advanced in a postseason tournament in history. It equals the 2016 NIT, where they suffered a 2-point loss to Western Kentucky in the third round. I was at that game. That sucked.
Hmm.
And I think they made
Yeah,
an insane shot at the buzzer. It was like they had like point. Oh, it was the one where they had like 0.4 seconds left and they got it off.
right, right.
That's what it was. Yeah. Yeah, the WNIT, there is not a lot of information on it at all.
No, there really isn't. I can't figure out if the home teams are just gonna, oh wait,
They don't
no,
have like an interactive bracket. Yeah,
no, and
home
and
teams
there's
don't.
nothing on the schedule after the SLU Purdue Fort Wayne game, right? Like there's nothing after the games that are already
Yeah,
bracketed.
they don't. Yeah, they don't add them until one team is in it.
Hmm.
I mean, I have the bracket is a PDF, so it's not interactive. It doesn't advance.
Right.
Um, and the event info doesn't tell us anything.
No,
Um,
no, it doesn't. No, and like I'm trying to figure, I'm even doing like word searches to see like home and like who would host, and I'm not getting any of that. When
they,
when evaluating team, no, they're just talking about like how they got teams in.
dude, there's nothing. There is
Yeah.
nothing.
All right. Well, we'll keep everybody posted as this develops.
And now the bracket won't even load. So I mean, I guess I mean, there's, on the other side, and I don't care to go through the results, but I mean, Illinois State looks. Oh, you know what? This bracket has been updated. Illinois State and Illinois State will play the winner of Wisconsin and Southern Indiana. And
Right.
then yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the PDF has been updated. Thank God. But us and Purdue Fort Wayne are like one of 6 teams that have advanced total so far. Like this was the first day of games for this round.
Right.
Um,
And yet will
yeah.
be one of the later games, it seems like, next time.
Right. Oh, all right. My mouth is incredibly dry talking about the women's NIT. Um, let's talk some baseball. I am ready to get angry, Pete.
Yeah, yeah, Zach. This baseball week was a little bit of a come down for our Billikens, wasn't it?
Yeah, Pete, run us down the Tulane game, and then I want to get into a moment in the 7th inning that really changed the game, and I thought really screwed over the Billikens.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. So SLU lost 2-0 at Tulane on Monday the 18th. Pretty rare result for this team. The bats just not showing up at all at Tulane. The wind was really blowing in, so that was part of it. The announcers made this abundantly clear throughout the broadcast. But nothing that multiple hits should have been carried out. just that weren't happening. Wasn't happening in this one. To add that, the Billikens had 3 total hits, likely a combination of sticking to gorilla ball, as you call it, Zach.
That's what, dude, that's what the announcers called it. I had never
Yeah.
heard it. Apparently, this is a thing in baseball circles.
Uh-huh.
It was, so, I hit him with the King Kong, swinging the stick at Godzilla gif, you
Sure.
know.
Yeah, but Tulane's pitching also played a role in that too. Anything in the air was just getting knocked down by the wind. So pitchers are playing that after a while. Slew did load the bases in the fourth, down 1-0 after Tulane RBI single the previous inning when Tyler Fogarty's triple was followed by 2 walks, but the Green Wave got out of that inning unscathed. Zach, it sounds like you have some thoughts on this.
Oh, you know what? This was the fourth. My issue was in the seventh, actually.
Okay, so this
So,
wasn't the same one. Okay.
no. So the seventh, a leadoff walk was issued to a Billiken. That Billiken stole second.
Hmm.
So runner on second in scoring position, no outs. We have 3 cracks of this. I believe the first batter goes to a 3-2 count and then strikes out. The second batter strikes out looking on the outside corner. The third batter also strikes out on the outside corner. The problem with this is that throughout the entire game, the umpire absolutely made it clear that the outside corner was under no circumstances a strike.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, the Billikens get a runner on second in scoring position with no outs, and the outside corner is open for business. And I know second and third out were just insane. We touched on it on Twitter, but one of our listeners sent in a video, and the ball is just completely outside to strike it to for them to get out of the inning. And
Yeah.
this really sucked. Um, and this is one of those things you're going to deal with in a non-revenue sport on the road down in Louisiana on a chilly Monday night. The umpire, it's 1-0. The umpires just kind of want to get done with this game and move on.
Yeah,
It's
not
just
not not looking to give the home team a loss and extend the game over something like that, huh?
potential extra innings. Yeah, no.
Yeah, of
Tulane got a second run though on a sacrifice bunt in the eighth, and because of course they did, Pete.
course they did. Yeah, yeah, just a really frustrating outcome there altogether. Jackson Yarberry started. He went 3 innings, gave up 1 run. Owen Chaffin pitched the next 4 1/3, gave up the second run. Evan Gray finished it off, and it's just a shame to have a good day overall on the mound wasted. This is just the opposite kind of game that we've come to know for these guys. But as we just discussed, there were a lot of other factors in this game that did not work to their favor. So, Zach, this weekend we come back home for a weekend series with Cincinnati and got a win on Friday in some pure sicko college baseball stuff.
Yeah, this one really was like just the epitome of sicko college baseball. Billikens were up 9-0 in the bottom of the third. They extended that lead to 14-2 by the end of the fourth. Cincinnati scored 10 straight runs over 5 innings to make it 14-12, and that would be how the game ended. Buttholes were puckered in this one. Slew's first 5 runs were driven in with singles. Austin Newig hit a 3-run homer, and Hayden Moore followed him with a solo shot. Tyler Fogarty hit a 3-run home run in the fourth, and the 2 runs that ended up being the decisive runs came on a sac fly and an error. Slew used 3 pitchers in this one. Jackson Holmes took 5 innings. Owen Kelly went 2/3 of an inning, and Jack Weber finished off the game with a final 2 1/3 innings, and each of them gave up 4 runs. Holmes got the win. Weber got the save. Pete, not good on Saturday.
No, still some sicko stuff. Not quite like Friday though. 13-4 was the final score loss. Slew went through 7 pitchers on a rough day on the diamond there. Tied 1-1 after 2. Cincinnati then scored the next 5, and Slew just couldn't catch up. They got 1 back in the bottom of the fourth, 2 more in the bottom of the ninth, but it was out of hand by then. Everyone in UC's starting lineup got at least 1 hit. So it was a tough one. And unfortunately, the rubber match went against Slew as well because UC jumped out to a 7-0 lead with Slew getting 3 back in the bottom of the fourth. on a 3-run Graham Mastro's home run. That accounted for all their scoring on the day, though. It wound up being an 8-3 final. Owen Chaffin started and gave up 4. Ethan Bell gave up the next 3. And then Charlie Weber and Evan Gray finished the game. And Gray gave up 1 unearned run. I think we were at Cincinnati last year, Zach, or was that a couple years ago? Um, but regardless, I think Cincinnati actually has a really nice
They
baseball field.
really do. I think I pointed that out. I think, you
Yeah,
know how I did the bit where I posted how much another coach makes like during the
yeah.
basketball season? I think I'm going to do that with SLU baseball, but it's just going to be facilities. I'm just going to compare facilities every game.
Yeah, their right field fence faces the south end of the basketball arena, the outside facade of which was recently redone when they did a renovation of the arena a few years ago. The left field fence goes into kind of a plaza where there's some more athletic, there's like a little turf practice mini field kind of deal that I think club teams use. And then you get like their tennis courts, and then their football stadium is kind of in the distance off the left field side. So their athletic facilities, it's a really cool campus because they're all right in the middle of campus. Like most big time college football stadiums are like out on the fringe of campus surrounded by parking lots. Theirs is literally locked in the middle of campus, surrounded by like other buildings on all 4 sides. It's an awesome setting for all of their sports. I really like it. And based on where I live and where my kids go to school, I actually see their fields every day. So I've come to know and like them quite a bit. But anyway, I hope SLU goes back there to play soon because I'd like to catch him playing there. Um, Next up, though, SLU heads to Kansas for a one-off game on Tuesday, the 26th, before hosting Rhode Island for a 3-game weekend series starting Thursday, the 28th, and wrapping up on Saturday. Little bit better week for softball, Zach, but 2-2, a little bit better than baseball had.
Yeah, 2-2, but that includes a an in-conference series win against St. Joe's. But it started off with a 1-0 loss at Lindenwood on Wednesday the 20th. The Billikens were 2 hit by Lindenwood pitcher Amanda Way. The Lions scored the game's only run on a squeeze play in the bottom of the 5th. Taylor Hockman pitched the first 3 innings, and Lily Strand took the next 3, getting the loss. They started off the 3-game series against St. Joe's with a 5-4 loss on Saturday in game 1, and it really hurt because this absolutely could have been a 3-game sweep.
Mhm.
They built a 4-1 lead heading into the top of the 7th. St. Joe's stormed back to take the lead and never relinquished it in the bottom half of that 7th inning. Taylor Hockman was going for a complete game gem when the wheels came off. Isabel Royal came in to finish the 7th. Chloe Ryan had a home run in this game. The second game of this one was a 7-2 win on Saturday. The Billikens gave up multiple runs in the 7th, but in this one they had 7 runs to cushion the blow. So they were able to hold on. Cammie Newbanks, 2-run homer in the first. Abby Mallow, 3-run homer in the third. Abby Olsis, a 2-run single later in the third to make it 7-0. Isabel Royal, complete game win with 6 strikeouts. Let's talk about the rubber one, Pete.
Yeah, on Sunday, SLU won 5-4, flipping that score from Friday, or I guess, sorry, Saturday game 1. Isabel Royal started and gave up 2 in 2 innings. Lily Strand then pitched the next 5, also giving up 2 runs. Natalie Sullivan and Cammie Newbanks led the Bills with 2 hits apiece. Newbanks and Jane Koneski had 2 RBIs each, and then Sullivan and Abby Elsis had 2 runs each. So those were the category leaders. Abby Mello had the game's only home run, though. It was a solo shot in the second. Next up, SLU has a weekend series at George Washington on Friday the 29th and Saturday the 30th. And then on the tennis court, Zach, neither team played this week, but SLU will host Butler on March 29th on the men's side. And then the women also had a little bit of a break this week with their next match coming against Missouri State on March 26th. But we had another spring sport kickoff this weekend, Zach.
Yeah, track and field took things outdoors this weekend at the Margaret Simmons Invitational at Murray State. Samantha Kunza broke the school record in the hammer throw with a distance of 65.93 meters. I'd actually love to talk to someone about the hammer throw because I have no understanding of it. The other other top three women's finisher, Jordan Cantola in the 5,000 meter. Men's top three finishers, Aaron Tobin was second in the 400 meter hurdles and third in the 400 meter hurdles, or with just 400 meters. Jack McPhillips was the runner up in the 800. Our boy Faral Ahmed finished second in the 1500, and Ethan Bryant was third in the 110. Is that 110 meter hurdles or 100 meter hurdles?
110.
110. I'd never heard of the 110 meter hurdle. So, next up is the Raleigh Relays on March 28th at NC State in Raleigh. Pete, a short one, I think. Is it a short? I think it is a short one.
No, it wound up not being a short
one. We can never make it a short one.
We know. No, we got chatty today, but just to circle back, the women's hammer throw uses a 4 kilogram. I guess you'd call it the hammer. It's a ball on the end of a chain, right? So about
whoa, watch it, dude. You can't talk about women and ball and chain. You can't do that sort of thing anymore.
Something I've literally never called my wife, for what it's worth. but yeah, it's about 8.8 pounds, and it is a crazy event, and like a truly crazy thing to see someone pick that thing up and swing around and let go of it. It's like, I don't know.
Scary. It's scary.
I could never in my life would I be comfortable doing that. So much respect for Samantha Kunza, who, by the way, has come into SLU and just in the weight throw, the hammer, in all of those events, she has just crushed the record book in her very short amount of time here.
It seems like, was she the transfer
from Alabama?
Yeah. It seems like John Bell made a little trade with the SEC.
The SEC. Yeah, you're gonna take my male distance runner. So give me your female field event killer. She's really, I think she's got records now in both of those events, indoor and out.
Well, that's gonna do it for us. Again, we tried to keep it short, but we failed. Thank you all so much for listening. Like and subscribe, comment. As always, go Bills.
Go Bills.